Hey, welcome to my channel, or welcome back, loyal viewers. I'm Kerry, the nosy housefrau, and today I'll be sticking my nose in on hot topics on this, the third installment of Tipsy Tea Time, where we pull up our favorite beverage, not sponsored, but I know you haven't seen that word in 5 minutes, so that was my choice, and we're going to have a drink or three and do the very helpful step of discussing the drama from a slightly less than sober perspective. My Corona. So Jacyln Hill has been front page for a couple of weeks now. I swear all she has to do is poke her head out of hiding and blammo, people can't wait to talk about her. There's so much going on, and some of it's kind of complicated. It might become like struggling in seaweed and it gets a little more complicated. But let's just start unpacking this from the pallet release. I think everybody knows at this point that after this new palette came out, Luvs Reviews did an excellent job of figuring out through a friend, relative having this same palette, that this formula that was supposed to be the same is quite different in each of these palettes. And then she compared 217 swatches to the new palette, and she knew that the formula could not quite be the same, and she did some digging, and it came out that not only is the formula not the same, what's worse is it's no longer vegan. And I don't know if you have a vegan person in your life, but it's a lifestyle. It's not just a diet. People who are vegan are very much into dedicating their life to not doing any harm to any animals of any kind. And it turned out that this palette was no longer vegan, and that was undisclosed. So people had questions for Jacyln. And Jacyln posted that she was aware that they were improving her formula, but she didn't realize they were going to change her formula because you can improve a formula without changing the ingredients. And that was her explanation, basically. But I think all of us were wondering, you didn't ask why? And in fact, Luvs Reviews wrote a very nice little reply to her saying, I really love that initial formula. And my question for you is, one, why didn't you ask questions about this? When somebody changed your baby, you'd want to know why. And I had that same question too. And then I realized I'm falling into the same thing with this woman all over again. Every time she releases something like the Sasquatch lipsticks and a palette that is now has bugs in it, and every time something like this happens, we all turn to Jacyln Hill for answers. Well, that's because she started out saying this was her formula and she worked on it for 2 years. She worked so hard, she developed that formula. And people buy into that. I think if she had just admitted that she is just the face of that product, instead of acting like she got down in the lab and started, making a concoction and developing her formula, Jeffree Star can get away with that. She can't. You know what I'm saying? You testing samples and going, I like it, and put my name on it is not you developing your own formula. And that is my personal stance on how hard she's worked on her formula. I think that's where she goes wrong. Look, Jacyln Hill is not a chemist. Can we all get that through our heads? She never at any time was involved in developing a formula. Okay? She was a photography student, and then she was an MUA at Mac. And these Morphe people are her friends. And when they started out with their brushes, because they had money to invest in something, just like they would a widget, that's another thing we can't get through our heads. Makeup is about money for people. They don't care about it the way we do. It's a business. So whatever it is they're selling, money is the bottom line. And she put her face out there and helped them sell brushes. She helped them build that brand. And now people are feeling that they did her dirty. I don't think so. I think their relationship is what it always was. This is the stuff, you sign off on it, we'll put your big signature on the box and we'll put your face up there and then we'll sell the makeup. But her acting like she developed this herself is a falsehood, in my opinion. And I think she should not just stay back from it, because when you make that bold claim, you need to back it up with some hard work. And I don't think she's willing to do the work. I think she's very happy to let other people do the work. And then when it falls through, or when there's a problem, if you've said that you are responsible for this product, then you're going to be responsible when there's a problem. So just admit that you don't have any involvement with the manufacturing of these products. You are a face and a friend, and I think that it's not really clear how much Jacyln knew, but in my opinion, I believe her when she said she didn't know very much, because I think she's content to not pay attention to that. I think that she's content to let Morphe make the products. Let me know what you think about that. Was this always skunky? Why did I choose beer? But then there's the bit about the Beatles. What kind of 16th century apothecary crap is that? No matter where you live on this planet, you spend half your life trying to keep bugs away from you. But then the guts of bugs can go right on our eyelids. It's 2020. Do we still have to use these archaic means of getting dye? Like, is there... I mean, if you come out with this skin cream that has leeches in it, I'm done, Morphe. What? Is there a cauldron over there? Like, they're putting in eye of a newt? Jacyln Hill would be tried as a witch if this were the old days. I'm happy being like Jacyln and just not knowing what goes in the damn thing. In fact, I think if you approach her on the street, ask her 4 ingredients in her palette. Ask her what are the 4 ingredients in your formula that you developed so hard. She won't be able to tell you. Okay, so I did my due diligence, and it turns out I was mistaken even referring to them as a beetle. The cochineal bug is a plant-sucking bug that is related to aphids, not related at all to the beetle, and it is that red dye number 4 that you see. It's in your food as well as in your lipstick and your eyeshadow, so it's really not uncommon at all, but not a beetle. There. Now, I probably know more about the formula than Jacyln does. So probably the worst part is that some people are allergic to that ingredient and believed Morphe when they were like, same wonderful formula. That was the impression everybody got. So maybe they could have done a little more digging, but let's not blame the victim. The point is, everybody was told it was the same formula. And then this girl's eyes swelled up. She sent a message to Jacyln, or tweet, and people were mad that Jacyln had no response. My feeling on that is she may have been advised not to respond. Again, these people are running a business, so they're always going to do what works best for their business before anything else. And often when you are accused of something, especially if it's something serious, your lawyers are going to tell you to not say a word. Not say a word, no admission of guilt. That's how business is. Now, that doesn't make it right. And there are a lot of people who wouldn't put that before doing the right thing. They wouldn't be too concerned with getting in trouble if they felt they had done something wrong. Now, when something like that happens, there also could be an investigation. And people don't want to speak about a situation while there's an ongoing investigation. They have to make sure that's not Photoshop. They have to make sure this really happened. They're going to try and maybe work it out behind the scenes, but I think in most cases it's not that unusual for people to maintain radio silence. That being said, again, there are people who would say, no, I need to talk to this person, I need to reach out, or I need to address this. If somebody got hurt from my product, I need to address this, especially when we did not disclose that we were vegan. This is kind of a big deal. I mean, that's very upsetting to vegans, and it's particularly dangerous to people who may have an allergy. I feel like so much of this wouldn't be an issue and could be avoided, but we live in strange times where the faces that go with our makeup are at the front and center of social media. And some of them have more of an involvement than other ones. And we have people like Jacyln Hill who I believe are not so involved with the manufacturing of the product as they are the face of the product, but she's still presenting herself as though it's her baby and she's 100% as involved with that as anybody else in the lab. And I think that's simply not true, and I think that's what gets her into trouble over and over and over again. What if she just said, this is the brand I support, my name is on it, my face is on it, and I love this product? Stop acting like you're Jeffree Star, because I think that that's where she goes wrong. Everybody wants to be Jeffree Star, and even his involvement is limited, but he's much better at watching over his product. I think Marlene Estelle is another one who is very hands-on and watches the quality of her product, as does Jen Gerard, who is the CEO of her own makeup brand. You know these people are involved. Jacyln Hill's not. I checked out her Instagram, and she's always traveling and partying and forcing herself to, because she simply cannot do anything with her crippling anxiety as she goes to dinner, ball games, Italy, around the world, constantly doing stuff that she claims she has to force herself to do. And that does bother me as well, because I have friends who they can't force themselves to do things that they have phobias of. They can't force themselves to get on a plane. If they have agoraphobia, they can't force themselves to go to a party. So good for her that she can force herself, but she managed to do so much activity that she can stop talking about how it's so difficult for her to be a millionaire, because it is not coming across any better than the bugs. Now, Jacyln may have had her reasons for not responding to that person, but I think that's all the more reason she shouldn't have responded to CreepShow Art, who put out a video about Jacyln's father being in a cult. And I don't think CreepShow Art quite realized how popular that video that she did at 2 a.m. in the morning, where she was just kind of tired and said, I have to talk to somebody about this because I didn't know. I didn't think she realized how big that was going to get. Now, a lot of people have mixed feelings about this. It seems under the video there are way more thumbs up. But on Twitter, which as you know can be a cesspool, she got kind of piled on with people saying that she went too far. And one of those persons was Jacyln Hill. She's had nothing to say about anything else, but she did talk about this video that she says she didn't watch. Excuse me. She didn't watch it, but she looked at the thumbnail and her reaction was, this is disgusting. I find it strange when people do that. When somebody says something they don't like, they have to make them look like a bad person by using adjectives like disgusting and gross. It's gross that you would do this. And a lot of people feel she went too far bringing up somebody's family. I think people need to stop acting like she killed somebody, first of all. If you think she did something wrong, at least give her a chance to say if she agrees. But the other thing is, this was not information that people didn't have. I've heard of this several times. Now, I will say, because I see both sides of it, if you have something in your past that has to do with your family or your father, we shouldn't talk about it, because a person will feel very exposed. He's not a hidden figure. He is in the public. He is a missionary. And regardless of what I think about missionaries, I don't believe that anybody who is a missionary is beyond being criticized because of religion. But I think that it is better to leave him out of it. She's been estranged from him for a long time. And I don't think anybody, regardless of what you think of Jacyln Hill, I don't think anybody should have to feel that kind of exposed. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a little bit close to reading someone's diary publicly. That's how they would feel based on that, I think. So looking at it from her perspective now, maybe I wouldn't care if somebody talked about my family, or if I had a father who was a missionary and somebody brought it up, I'd be like, yeah, that's not me, that's him, and I don't talk to him. Maybe that wouldn't be so bad. But for some people, that's a very tender thing, a very sore subject, and perhaps a very painful thing. So I do think it's best to stay away from topics like that about people. But at the same time, people need to stop acting like CreepShow Art killed somebody just because she brought up a subject that was very public, that Jacyln had nothing to say about before. And a lot of people feel, and I am inclined to agree, that she is conveniently outraged to deflect the other stuff she's going through. So it looks pretty bad that she won't address this person saying, look, at my eyes are swollen, I was in pain, I was at my grandmother's or whatever, and she had to help me with this, I had to put stuff on my eyes. She has nothing to say about that. But as soon as somebody brings up something that has been brought up before, this is disgusting. The other thing I was thinking was, if you don't like Jacyln, you can just vote with your wallet. If you don't want to buy the products, you can vote with your wallet. That doesn't make it okay for Morphe to handle this the way they have, which is such a hot mess. I can't even believe it. The people at the top tier of this really should have known better. Even if it was something where they were just changing the ingredients, I can't imagine you wouldn't want to know. Like if somebody said, hey, we took your special formula, we've improved it. Wouldn't you want to know immediately what they changed? Is it creamier? Is it better? What did they change? And according to a lot of people, it's not better. So even if you didn't ask what was in it, you'd have to know, why has the quality gone down, right? Unless it was one of those situations where that person who's getting samples is getting much better samples than what's going out. It makes the mind swim, wondering what went on. But I will tell you, the brother-sister duo that started Morphe pretty recently bought a $25 million compound. So I think people are voting with their wallets. And even if Jacyln Hill gets a lot of crap, she's got to be getting a lot of dough, because makeup sells. Even with all of the drama and everything swirling around her, I don't see her bank account getting any smaller. She's going to be able to force herself to go to private islands. She can force herself to go to Hawaii. Just think of the things she can force herself to do. Thank you so much if you've watched this far. I so appreciate you. If you are new here, please force yourself to like and subscribe. I would so appreciate it. And of course, as always, I will be hawking my Teespring, my merch, my Twitter, my other social media in the description down below. And Thank you very much, everyone. I'm looking forward to your thoughts as always. Not so tipsy from my tipsy tea time. I don't think I'm a big beer person, but it does make me want bad food, and that's not a good thing. So I'll probably end this here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And until next time, Hausfrau out.